Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not Jay. It's Mallo. Mallo's back.
Oh,
Aw,
hello.
looky. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Wife's out of town, so everything's chaos around the house. It's wonderful. Um, so the chat's calling us a bunch of nerds. Because that's where it starts. A bunch of nerds. Yeah, we're a bunch of nerds.
Always.
Yeah,
We're a
absolutely.
bunch of nerds talking about nerd shit tonight.
Absolutely. Actually, I think we got some decent topics tonight, right? I'm pretty happy with it. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So we were talking to the pre-show, that Punisher trailer. Dude,
Looks good, doesn't it?
I'm glad they're doing this special presentation one. I really am. And I think that the fact that they're button hooking it on the end of Daredevil season 2, so Daredevil season 2 ends and we jump straight to this Punisher special presentation, I think is perfect fucking timing.
Well, and it's a little bit of serendipity that, he had to go film Brand New Day and all that kind of stuff. So he couldn't film Daredevil season 2.
Yep.
So we'll just give him something else and we'll just tack it on. We'll figure out why Frank wasn't the one busting out of jail at the end of last episode and stuff like that.
See, that's what I want to know is I hope they cover it, like, because you see him at the end of season 1, he busts out of the jail.
Yeah.
And
he kind of busts out of jail.
Yeah. But obviously he gets out, and I kind of want to know where we go from there to get him to he's hanging out with Spider-Man.
Right. I'm hoping this is the bridge to that, since it's going to come out before Brand New Day and everything like that.
Well, it's going to come out literally like a month before Brand New Day. So I think it's perfect timing for it. So there's that. The other one that I saw that's kind of going on is I haven't seen, so that Michael movie's coming out in like 2 weeks. Yeah. I've seen no advertising. None.
Yeah. Not a bit. Nothing. I don't think it's gonna do very well either. These biopics keep going down in,
How much did that Queen biopic do? I'm gonna look
it earned $910 million worldwide.
Wow. That's a lot. So the only thing that gets me is Michael Jackson is one of those stars that just kind of transcends everything, right? Yeah. Even with all the controversy and everything else. And the reason I want to see it is I want to see how they're going to handle that.
I can spoil it for you according to Variety. At least where it ends, because of the reshoots and things they had to do.
Where are they ending? Like, what era of his life are they ending at?
Basically at the height of his career.
Kind of like they did with
exactly, kind of like they did with Bohemian Rhapsody, where like the end of it was kind of at Live Aid when they reunited to do all the kind of things and stuff like that with it. That was kind of the end of Bohemian Rhapsody. They went on to kind of talk a little bit more about Freddie in the afterlife and stuff like that with it. But yeah, that was this one according to Variety. We'll see what happens in the final edits and stuff like that with it. But it's tracking. According to people predicting and stuff like that, it's actually tracking to do better than Bohemian Rhapsody did out the gate.
Is it? I haven't seen the tracking
by like 4 or 5 million.
Okay. I haven't seen the tracking yet.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because like we've had so many of these.
3-week tracking. This was 8 days ago. Yeah. Okay. So nothing's going to try to get 60 million. But Devil Wears Prada is tracking at 66. So that, I would expect a Michael biopic to track a little higher. I'd expect it to track closer to 80 or 90, not 60.
First weekend, still with everything happening and all like that out there, like kind of hard to tell, really. You know what I mean? Like it's a biopic after Springsteen's, Dylan, Elton John's, Bohemian Rhapsody. God knows how many more they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like there's a ton of them that have been there, so I don't know if there's some fatigue with it. I think it'll actually do better overseas than it will in America because of how much he was loved.
In Europe, yeah, I could see it doing massive money in Europe.
Yes.
So,
that's why they're kind of thinking it's going to be 700 to 800 million worldwide, probably, which would be, that'd be good.
Very respectable and very profitable at that stage. Very profitable. Yeah, definitely very profitable at that point.
You know what movie just got greenlit though?
What's that?
In that same sort of vein, we're getting a Metal Gear Solid movie from the guys that did Final Destination.
So here's the thing: Metal Gear Solid is silly. I have played most of the games, and it is silly. And so having the guys doing Final Destination doing that,
why not have full camp on this thing?
you really should.
Absolute full camp.
Okay, I want possessed revolver ocelot. I want the Patriot. I want all of it. All right.
Yeah.
Crazy weird AI George Washington. Like, okay. I want cyber ninjas and everything. Okay. If you're gonna do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I was one of the people. I liked the Mortal Kombat movie, the most recent one they did, because I was like, you know, you leaned into it. It's fine.
The new one looks even better. I'm excited to watch that one, and I will go to the theaters to watch that one to hear all of the bone crunching in full surround sound. You know, like I think they finally got the right formula for that movie, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. You know?
Oh, I think it's gonna be great. All right. Lastly, for our lovely cold open here, and I thought you would get a kick out of this one. So, as I mentioned right as we got started, not only is Jay out of town, but my wife left town today to go visit some friends out in North Carolina, which is wonderful for her. I'm very, I think it's great. She's going to go take a vacation. But she downloaded some shit for the plane, right? and she was like, oh, I downloaded the last half of the last season of Ted Lasso and Sinners. And I was like, oh, yeah, you should totally watch Sinners. It's a great movie. Michael B. Jordan won an Oscar. Totally watch Sinners. She texts me halfway through the movie. She goes, this is a vampire movie? And I'm like, how did you not? This movie's been out for a year. How did you not know that Sinners was a vampire movie?
In fairness, the first 70 minutes of that movie is nothing to do with vampires.
That's true.
Except for the one. And also, I want the spin-off movie of the Cherokee vampire hunters. Okay. I just want a movie about them hunting vampires in Mississippi and the Deep South in the 1940s. I think that would be a fantastic series, even. Yeah,
look, man. I love Ryan Coogler, and so if he wants to do that, I'm all for it. In fact, I don't even know what he's working on right now.
But what the? Oh my God. No, he's not. He has got a new TV series. It's bringing back. Oh my God, what is it? It's a famous bloody one that's coming back. I gotta look it up because. Well, obviously he's doing Black Panther. X-Files reboot. Is coming.
Yeah,
that's the one he's working on. Yeah, he's working on a reboot of X-Files.
Okay.
And Animorphs. And he's bringing Animorphs. I heard about
Animorphs. I am
coming to Disney Plus.
I was never big into the books. They were a little younger than me. They kind of hit right after I was out of the age bracket where I would have been reading them. But I've heard a lot about them. I know they're very popular.
I mean, if there's anybody that can make me want to watch a show like that, it's him.
It's Ryan Coogler.
It's he will do something spectacular with it, and I will be amazed again. And
the only thing I don't like that I didn't love that he put his name on was Ironheart, which I thought was pretty mid.
It was pretty mid. I didn't actually make it all the way through the show.
It wasn't terrible.
No.
But it was pretty mid. And while I loved the casting,
yes.
And I don't care you guys know my spoiler rules, but I'm putting up the alert anyway. I just put it up. Okay. They introduced Mephisto, and I love Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. I love that concept. Right, I was like, "Oh yes, give me Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. That's great." Well, we're gonna kind of fumble the ball on that one a little bit. And
then I don't know if it. I don't think anything is resolved with Mephisto at that point, right?
No.
At the end of the show.
No, he's still out there. He's still out there.
I thought so.
Look, all I know, and we covered this on the show a couple weeks ago, was Ryan Gosling was in talks to play Ghost Rider.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so with Mephisto, I'm down. All right.
I mean, it could be cool. That'd be cool.
All right. Well, with that down, why don't we start jumping into some main topics? Coming to you live from our weird home studios. It is the Error Code Show for April 9th, your place for news, pop culture, politics, gaming, whatever the hell else we want to talk about. If you would like to support the show, you can subscribe to us on Twitch at twitch.tv/AirCodeShow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Prime sub to Twitch, and so you can give us Amazon's money. We always appreciate that. Comment, like, subscribe to our videos on our YouTube channel. We are on our march to 5,000 subs. We're 2,600, I think, right now. So thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. We really appreciate it. But liking, commenting, and subscribing, that really helps us defeat the algorithm, which nobody can defeat. But help us defeat the algorithm. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Error Code Show. If you missed it, we did do full spoiler and non-spoiler reviews for Project Hail Mary and other stuff. We're going to do other YouTube exclusive content. There's certain things that we're just not doing on stream because they're a little too complicated for stream. So make sure you go check out the YouTube channel as well, because we do YouTube exclusive content there. With that down, we're going to jump into our first topic tonight. And Mallo, I want to talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And I want to start exactly where I need to start. This show is awesome. Yes. It's got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is a major improvement on Season 1 in every measurable way. The political stuff, the action, the Fisk Murdoch dynamic. This is the best thing Marvel has put on television since WandaVision. And I'm recommending it to our audience without reservation. If you're not watching this show, fix that this week. Okay? We're 4 episodes in, so about halfway through the season, and there's a question that keeps sitting in the back of my brain that I can't shake, and the more I try, the louder it's getting. So tonight I want to talk about it. No major spoilers, because I think it reveals something about where the real MCU is right now. It's not a criticism of Daredevil. It's almost the opposite. For anyone not caught up, here's the basics of Season 2. Fisk is mayor of New York City. He's got his Anti-Vigilante Task Force running martial law on the streets. They have no warrants, no judicial oversight, brutalizing citizens in broad daylight. Boy, what does that sound like? Moving on. He has criminalized heroism. He's running an open authoritarian takeover of the largest city in the United States. This is not subtle. This is not a quiet conspiracy happening in the shadows. This is New York City under siege, on the news, in public, visible to everyone. And here's my question. Where the fuck is Spider-Man? Peter Parker.
More importantly, go ahead.
Peter Parker is a New York kid, Queens born and raised. When we left him, he went back to being friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in New York. He's been swinging since through these streets. He cares about the city on a personal level. And right now, the city he loves is being run by a man in a suit who hates vigilantes, masked vigilantes, and is brutalizing anyone who's trying to help them.
And called him out on TV.
Yep, and Spider-Man is nowhere. And now I know the business side of it. The Spider-Man rights situation is complicated. They can't put him on television. Sony, blah, 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 blah. I get the business reality. Okay? I understand. We've covered it on the channel. We're 4 episodes into a season where the show is bending over backwards to remind us that this Daredevil is in the MCU. There are references everywhere. The connective tissue is intentional, right? And the more it insists that it's on the same world, the harder it is for me to not pay attention for it. Because it's not just Spider-Man. There's also the Thunderbolts. We saw that movie last year, and they confirmed this takes place after that whole big century blip in New York. Okay? Every character Born Again lived through that. Matt Murdock, Wilson Fisk, right? And then there's Val, who is referred to in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, right? The woman who created the Thunderbolts declares them the new Avengers.
New Avengers, yeah.
Right?
New Avengers, asterisk.
Yep, asterisk, new Avengers.
Still in litigation. We're working on that.
Okay.
It's been copyright and, yeah.
So you have a team of enhanced individuals who live in the old Avengers Tower, who just saved the city from a supernatural apocalypse, and nothing. Daredevil is different. And this is the irony. The thing that makes Born Again so good is the thing that makes the problem more visible. Okay? Because if this was happening in the real world, if a mayor of New York City was openly running a paramilitary force that was hunting down its own citizens, every news channel in the country would be covering it. Every politician in Washington would be responding. And if there were people with superpowers who had just saved the city 6 months ago, you'd expect at least one of them to make a phone call.
Right.
The Netflix era had a structural advantage where they were in a murky canonical gray area, sort of MCU adjacent but never quite confirmed, right? The ambiguity and the lower stakes protected the story. Now that Born Again is explicitly, undeniably MCU canon, the question is unavoidable. There are reasonable explanations. The new Avengers are out of town, right? Other things. And the connective tissue between this show and Spider-Man is even bigger because we have Brand New Day coming, as we talked about in the cold open. Punisher is in Brand New Day, who is in Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Fisk clearly is heading somewhere that sets up the next Spider-Man film. And so this is just a question I think is worth asking. Mallo, you know this universe as well as anybody. We've got a show that is genuinely one of the best things Marvel has ever made. Let's start there. And it exists in a universe where the new Avengers save the city and their own boss is now helping Fisk. Does the where is everyone problem bother you, or is this just the price of admission for a shared universe and we're just like, yeah, just don't ask?
We will probably find out. I think there's two things that we'll find out. We will find out at the end of some of this stuff that all of this stuff is technically happening in parts of Hell's Kitchen specifically. Spider-Man could be off in Brooklyn doing his thing and in Queens doing his thing.
But Fisk is the mayor of all of New York.
It's not lost on me, though, that, like, Spider-Man has nothing to necessarily go up against Fisk. He doesn't understand all the intricacies that Matt Murdock knows about Fisk and everything like that. Spider-Man wouldn't know any of that kind of stuff. So to him, it's just the mayor of New York.
But Fisk is still openly and publicly hunting down masked vigilantes.
Does Spider-Man give a shit about that, though? He's like the most enhanced. He's like an Omega level mutant compared to all the rest of them. I mean, he's also a kid. Still.
I mean, yes, I think he's probably 19-ish, 20 at this thing. So I'll tell you what my personal current headcanon is on Daredevil. And I think I would even just feel better if they would just do a quick scene where they would go, Mayor Fisk, we control everything but Queens.
Right.
We can't. The Anti-Vigilante Task Force goes to Queens, and then they all end up hanging from web on a light post. So you know what we're going to do? We're just leaving Queens alone. Screw it. You can have Manhattan.
Well, that you're going to get that, though, because we're getting Jessica Jones in this series. We've seen that in the previews and everything like that. I think
probably next episode.
No, I think there's one more episode before she shows up.
Okay.
Because you got the spoiler alert thing. Are we doing spoilers?
We will throw up the spoiler alert real quick.
Okay. Fucking Vanessa dies.
Good.
She dead. Good. And that was the only thing reining Fisk in. And now all as it says in the previews, all hell's about to break loose, which is double entendre to Hell's Kitchen and all that kind of shit. But that's the thing. There's no moral person, not that Vanessa had a ton of morals, but there's no person that is going to pull at Fisk's heartstrings to get him to calm down, which is what they was all setting that up to do.
Yeah.
Well, she was trying to get him to retire and to let's go to the island that we own and everything like that.
How big do you need to make this empire?
Exactly. And of course he was just like, yeah, because how many worlds are there kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, Thanos. Like,
well, and
chill, bro.
Look, we all know Fisk is powerful and he's strong and he can do some cool stuff. But let's face it, right? One of the reasons you can't put Spider-Man in this, right, from a practical standpoint, right, not business, but practical from a story standpoint, is he beats that Anti-Vigilante Task Force to death. Like you said.
Oh, absolutely.
He's an Omega level, like, mutant. You know, he's like, screw your Anti-Vigilante Task Force. You can't touch me. I fought Thanos.
Now, he would have to go full-on anti-hero a la Punisher to do that, though. That's the thing. He would have to go and attack all these people to do it and stuff like that with it, rather than do what he does and protect other people.
And,
like you
so
said,
maybe that's what he's doing, yeah.
Exactly. And like you said, it could be that we just aren't seeing those parts where that task force is getting defeated in Queens and areas like that and stuff. You know, we're only seeing the stuff that involves Daredevil. The rumor is that we may still get a little Spider-Man by the end of this thing. I doubt it. I really doubt it.
I mean,
But we could get mentioned to it by the end of this, like you're saying. Like
Sony could sign an addendum to the contract that they've got with Marvel and go, look, you can use them for 5 seconds here.
Right. There's always money talks. We've said this on every show you and I've been on. Money talks, kind of thing. Yep. They can pull it out there and stuff like that with it as a crossover and say, at the end, go watch, Sony's Spider-Man Brand New Day. Put more marketing dollars into it, any of that kind of stuff. They could do any amount of that kind of thing.
Well, and I think somebody spotted it in the trailer. It looks like the mayor who's giving Spider-Man the key to the city in the trailer is that Sheila lady.
Oh, it's 100% her.
Who works for Fisk right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And she is either, so as Buck said in the latest episode, he is the heir apparent to, and a Gandolfini running New York would be so fucking epic.
I've grown to love his character.
Oh, he's the silent acting that he did in the latest episode and stuff like that with the BB report and everything like that.
He's been so much better. They used him so well in this season.
Oh, absolutely.
So well in this season. So I love it. Absolutely love what they're doing with him.
And I kind of think that there are, what I think is also happening simultaneously, and we'll see some of this. I think there's going to be some overlap in Brand New Day. There's obviously a little bit of overlap because Punisher shows up and everything like that from the previews. We've seen it, right? But what I think is going to happen is you're going to start to see that there are other threats in New York that aren't covered under this small bit of what's going on in New York and things like that Spider-Man's dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or he's just an emo kid sitting on the bottom of a tower for a little bit and trying to get his wits about him and stuff like that.
I mean, that looks like where Spider-Man Brand New Day starts, is he's not feeling happy. Like, he's not feeling good.
Yeah.
I do want to address something that the chat brought up a little while ago, the YouTube chat. Yes, some set photos did leak because they are filming Born Again Season 3 right now. They're in the middle of it. And we knew that Jessica Jones is in Season 2, but it looks like we're getting the whole Defender crew back.
Yep.
Right? Iron Fist is coming.
My man Luke Cage in comic accurate garb.
Right? That's my boy. And from the Netflix shows, I loved Mike Coulter.
Yes.
As Luke Cage. That's like near the top of where the kind of the Netflix stuff was for me, was Luke Cage, especially that first part of Season 1 of Luke Cage. He just, wow.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely
fantastic. And we know from what the showrunners have said and stuff like that is that the whole Mayor Fisk storyline is done after this season. Yeah. So in some capacity, Fisk is either in jail or dead. One of the two.
Yeah. Now, right? I am curious how, from a timeline perspective, how they're going to process Season 3 of Daredevil Born Again. Because if Doomsday is what we think it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no New York at the end of Doomsday. It's done. Right? No. Now, we've seen them do things out of sequence before, like with Ant-Man 2, right?
Correct.
Where we had Infinity War, and then Ant-Man 2, even though it came out a few months after Infinity War, actually took place right before Infinity War, and then the post-credits was them getting dusted.
Correct.
Right?
Which I think we might get some of that in Doomsday.
Yeah, and I can see where they can take Season 3 and be like, look, this happens right before Doomsday, right? Mm-hmm. Because my presumption is they're going to go with the No Time Left storyline, and at the end of Doomsday, he's creating Battleworld.
Oh, absolutely. That's the post-credit. That's either the cliffhanger or the post-credits kind of thing, is that they wake up on Battleworld.
Yeah, that feels to me like the end of the thing. Like how you saw them all get dusted at the end of Infinity War, and then we had a little bit of aftermath, and then Endgame picks up like right after that, and then you have the time jump about, 30 minutes into Endgame?
Yeah.
I think Doomsday is similar. I think that's where
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's probably a little bit of the stuff there's probably in Doomsday a little bit of the stuff where The final shot of Doomsday is probably Doom on a throne, Susan flanking him,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff to like just set up the whole like, oh shit,
Battle World is here.
Battle World is here, and wait, she was the good guy. Why is she now here and stuff like, and Strange flanking him and things like that, because all of that stuff's got to come together, somehow for them to know how to make it and everything like
Yep.
that, right? And so, yeah, I think that's the kind of final shot,
Well,
you know.
and I'm curious how they've redone. And I know Tom Holland said they're back into reshoots, and I know we're going far afield from Daredevil, but fuck it, we're in an MCU segment now, and I'll fix it in post. I know Tom Holland said they're going back to do some reshoots now, which is fine. That's normal. Nobody freak out about reshoots.
Yeah.
Marvel always plans for reshoots, right? Because they'll get into the editing bay, do their first build of the movie, and go, "Ooh, we want to fix this." So Marvel,
Exactly.
as a matter of course, always budgets for and schedules 2 to 3 weeks of reshoots on every film they do.
Most major companies do that if they're smart.
Now they do, yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's a Marvel just does it.
Actually, that is a Lucasfilm thing from back in the day.
Yep.
That is a Lucas. Like, I'm pretty certain that George Lucas started that whole thing.
So what's interesting to me is because originally Brand New Day was supposed to come out between Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Yes.
Now it's coming out before Doomsday, so I'm sure they're making some adjustments to it, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Based on that. But again, all this kind of is bleeding together. And again, so I kind of come back to that question to kind of round out the segment, which is, do you think that just some of the stuff we just got to take as cost of admission? Look, it's a 30-something film franchise with X number of shows, and it's just they're gonna drop the ball occasionally, and occasionally there are gonna be some things that make you go, huh? Because after Eternals, we forgot about the God guy coming out of the Indian Ocean until Captain America 4.
Yeah. And I think
now
it's one of those things
again.
where, well, yeah. And I think there's just a lot of things that like, it's like a D&D battle, right? Mm-hmm. Like every combat round is technically 6 seconds. So you might spend 4 hours in the real world planning this fight. And in reality, it was like Dragon Ball Z 30 seconds, kind of thing. And I think there's a lot of these things that are overlapping in the timeline and stuff like that we just kind of have to nod along and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And just
be
kind
happy
of like,
we're getting good entertainment.
And just be happy that they're keeping the strings together from a really terrible phase in Marvel history because of the change in leadership and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Which they're not going through again. So hopefully the new CEO doesn't make that mistake. If you missed our segment on that, we covered that on the YouTube channel a couple weeks ago. Go check it out. Disney's new CEO again. All right. Again, to wrap this one up, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Mallo and I wholeheartedly recommend this show. It's great. It's been phenomenally well written, phenomenally well acted. I love Charlie Cox. But yeah, there's some weird continuity stuff that'll make you scratch your head if you think too hard about it. But have you been watching Daredevil Season 2? What do you think? Do the continuity things bother you? Let us know in the comments down below. On that, I am so excited for Luke Cage to come back. So excited for that. I saw those pictures the other day and I was like, blah. Somebody in the chat said lore accurate Peter Parker. Dude, I want the real lore accurate Peter Parker. Right? And they hint at it in the last Spider-Man, where Andrew Garfield talks about it. He's like, I stopped pulling my punches. Right? The thing that people need to remember about Spider-Man is he is legitimately one of the strongest, physically fucking strongest superheroes in all of Marvel Comics. He is frequently like, I do not use all of my strength because I would kill everyone.
There was a lot of people during the Civil War fight that definitely got upset that Spider-Man didn't just wipe the floor with everybody because of how, strong and how much of a badass he is in the comics and everything like that with it. And, they were like, oh, they depower leveled him and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe he just didn't want to kill people that time. Like, these are all technically superheroes that are fighting, and even at some point he was just kind of like, why are we fighting? I don't understand. Hey, and then he kept getting attacked, so he was kind of defending himself half the time anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think they're painting Peter Parker to be kind of a more morally lawful good character
Yeah.
than maybe what he was in the comics and things like that, and I think that's okay.
I
You
do
need
too.
that. You need that when you're going up against a person like Robert Downey Jr., which he was cast against in the Avengers movies, in the Civil War movie, and stuff like that. You kind of have to have a little bit of that. You have to have that childhood innocence almost in a way with that character to contrast it against an RDJ type character.
You know what I would really love to see, even for just like half a movie, especially now that we got the Fantastic Four. I want
Yeah,
Cosmic Spider-Man.
we might get it.
I want Spider-Man with the power cosmic
Yeah,
for just a minute, right?
yeah.
Just a minute. All right. While we're here, I see more folks have joined us a little later into the show. Appreciate you guys joining us today. If you have any topics, comments, questions, stuff you saw in the news that you'd like us to cover in the show, throw those in the chat right now. We do try to get to those at the end of the show. I do take them down as you guys put them in the chat. And, we want to talk about the things that you guys want to talk about. So as long as it's appropriate and we know something about it, we will talk about it. Pretty much the only time we decline is when we just have no idea what you're talking about, and we haven't done any research. But with that down, let's move on to some other good Hollywood news. We got a lot of good Hollywood news this week. Good news. Let's talk about what's going on that kind of flew under the radar because it wasn't bad. So here we go. I want to take a couple minutes to talk about something that went well in Hollywood this week. We spent a lot of time talking about what's broken, and this week something got fixed. The Writers Guild of America reached a new deal with the studios and the streamers, and it's a good one. Let's talk about it. First, let's talk about where we were at a few years ago. 2023 was the worst year Hollywood had seen in decades from a labor standpoint. The WGA, Writers Guild, went on strike for 148 days. Shortly into theirs, SAG-AFTRA, the actors union, joined them. The first dual strike in 60 years. And this wasn't in a vacuum. It was happening in the aftermath of COVID when they were still recovering from the COVID pandemic, which had already shut down production globally for nearly 2 years. Hollywood was coming out of a pandemic that broke the industry and walked straight into the longest writer strike in a generation. The damage was real, and it lasted. Writer employment in 2024 was down 10% from 2023. 2023 was already a strike year. Compared to 2022, the employment was down 25%. A quarter of the work gone. The WGA's own health plan, the fund that pays the writers' medical coverage, lost $122 million across 2023 and 2024 combined. People who write the shows we love were losing their health care because the industry contracted so severely after everything that happened. That's the backdrop for this deal. This is not abstract labor negotiation. This is people's livelihoods and their families' health care on the line. So here's what the WGA did. They got a deal done early. They're done. The deal is done. The studios agreed to put this is the big one to my mind. The studios agreed to put $321 million directly into the WGA health plan. That's a record contribution. It goes a long way toward fixing a fund that was hemorrhaging money. Minimum payments are going up 10% over the course of the contract. Streaming residuals are going up, which matters enormously because streaming residuals have been a horrible central fight in labor for the last decade, and writers were getting paid crap for streaming stuff. Writers are getting more to their shows do well on streaming platforms. And there are AI protections in the deal. Language covering the licensing of writers' work for AI training, which is the fight that's going to define this industry for the next 20 years. Here's another big one. This contract actually runs 4 years instead of the typical 3. That's a concession to the studios who wanted stability, but the WGA felt they got enough in return that it was worth making. The DGA, the Directors Guild, praised the deal publicly. SAG-AFTRA is heading back to the table later this month. Here's what I find most interesting. It's how it got done. They started early. Negotiations started in mid-March. The deal was done in under 2 weeks, behind closed doors, not litigated everywhere. Both sides describe the atmosphere as collaborative, not performative. the AMPTP, which is the film studios, new leadership, doesn't have the combative relationship with the guild that the previous leader did. And by all accounts, the temperature of the room was completely different. People who were in the negotiations said sidebar conversations happened that would have been, in their words, unthinkable 3 years ago. So after 148 days on the picket line, after COVID, after 122 health fund losses, after a quarter of writers' jobs disappearing, 2 weeks of talks and a unanimous vote, that's not nothing. That's something worth acknowledging that got done right. Mallo, I know you as a creator follow this stuff really closely. The health plan money, the AI protections, the streaming residuals. On paper, this looks like a genuine win for the WGA. The 4-year term is longer than usual, and there are writers out there who are skeptical any contract is enough given how much ground was lost after the strike. Where are you landing on this? Is this a deal that starts to heal that relationship between the writers and the studios, or is this a Band-Aid on a much deeper bullet wound?
Well, it's always a step in the right direction when you can still have health insurance in this country. All of the premiums for every writer in America go up. Not nearly as much as the costs go up, though. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about the out-of-pocket maximums. I think the individual coverage for an individual used to be $0. Now it's like $50, or $75, I think, and then like $200 for a family.
That's not bad.
That's monthly premiums. That's half of what I pay as a creator myself, and because of Washington State's weird laws and things like that. And I am independently covered the same way that the WGA is independently covered and stuff like that. So, a very similar kind of solution. The coverage and things like that, I was actually looking for like the provider type stuff and everything like that, like who provides it and things like that. I think, I don't know actually who's the provider and everything like that with it.
For WGA, I'm not sure.
Yeah. There's a bunch of different ones and stuff like that with it, I think, is how it kind of works. But I mean, it's all PPO. That's the thing. So it's the best type of coverage for the most part that you can get when working as a creator or working in a service-based industry. There are other types of plans and things like that out there, but the ability to go see as many different providers, things like that, there's a little bit of flexibility to all that kind of stuff. Those are all still good things that are happening. Because I think that they were running, I don't know, I think over the past like 4 years or so, I think the deficit for the health fund was up to like $200 million or something like that.
So getting the studios to kick in 321 is a huge financial windfall.
I think so, because you need those operating costs and stuff like that with it. And is anybody who has looked at their W-2 pay stubs, or like myself and the writers and things like that, as a creator, you have to pay it out of pocket and stuff like that. That shit ain't cheap, and it's gone up significantly over the past 2 years.
And somebody in chat saying that the WGA coverage is Anthem Blue Cross and UCLA Health, which makes sense, actually. That fits for Southern California.
Yep. Well, and Blue Cross has gone up 10 to 12% across the board for everybody across the entire country and stuff like that with it. So it's healthcare costs in America have risen dramatically. So anything that you can get going towards that is a big deal for it. The fact that it's a 4-year deal and that it's kicked in that much money with, the agreements to go, what is it? The base residual is now up to 75% or something like that. And it continues to grow up
and again,
each year.
That was actually, you kind of beat me to the punch. That was going to be my question, which is obviously the 4-year deal is different than normal, very different, right? Mm-hmm. Does what the studios, from your perspective, in the health fund coverage, the AI protections, and the streaming residual increases, do you think that giving the studios an extra year of breathing room, which is what they want, right? They're like, look, we can't deal with work stoppages. We need a little bit of breathing room. That's what they want. Yeah. Is giving them that extra year of breathing room worth what they got out of it, do you think?
With the state of streaming being what it is, and the state of technology, I think a lot of what they do for these shorter contracts is try to stay ahead of the technology, because the more rope that you give the studios and stuff like that, the more that they can take in profits and stuff like that before you have to start kind of grabbing that back, for the writers, for the tag after everything like that with it. With the state of where streaming is right now, and with the way that contracts are being negotiated among streaming services and things, I think it's okay that they give them an extra year, because I don't see super mega technological advancements happening that are going to disrupt the industry over the next 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
Not enough for them to have a bit of ammunition. If anything, I think the way that they keep raising the costs for streaming services and things are actually going to backfire. Netflix just once again got an email the other day, which
Yep.
we saw the stuff about it, but it's going up in price again.
And Netflix is really, that's my bubble streamer. Putting that aside though, so basically, you do feel that giving the studios that extra year was a fair concession, considering what the studio said as far as AI protections and increase in the streaming residuals.
Yeah. Because I think that's a big deal when you're thinking about the kind of thing. This is the only industry where you have to kind of rely on your portfolio to keep you making money. And because you can't always guarantee that you're going to sell the next book, this next film, the next anything, right?
What's on your IMDb page?
Yeah. And any of that money that's coming in. And believe me, once everybody gets their cuts, and everything like that, those residuals still aren't much. You've got to do a substantial amount of work to get a substantial amount of pay from residuals and things like that with it.
Yeah.
And with more and more things, and this is not covered in the articles that I've seen, I want to know what is going to happen as more and more shows are going to YouTube. There's in the ones that I follow, there's a bunch of them that I follow and stuff like that with it, but there's things like Mythbusters, full episodes, Top Gear, full episodes up on YouTube, not taken down, and it's by the company that produced the shows.
Yeah.
So these are legitimate, like, hey, we can't sell it. We got it on streaming services, and it says go buy it on HBO Max or whatever kind of thing on the right hand side. But also here's almost full seasons of the show for free. What happens to ad revenue and everything like that as it starts to come in? Does that count as streaming residuals?
So I think so. So off the top, it appears that Google is they are a signatory to the AMPTP.
Mm-hmm.
So they are part of the Alliance of Motion Picture. So they're part of the producers' side of this.
But is that for things that YouTube produces?
And specifically,
instead of user-generated content.
And apparently, it's YouTube that makes it so they're doing it that way. And I have to imagine, and again, I'll give you the best example, and you actually brought up the best one I could think of is I can watch Saturday Night Live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Pretty much, they break it down into segments, right?
Yeah.
For each, block. But I can watch the whole thing on YouTube, from the monologue to the musical performances and everything in between. Everything for SNL is on YouTube now. So I got to imagine that, because I actually think a lot of their cast is also in the WGA, because they're writers and actors on the
Correct.
show. So they're part of both guilds, right?
Well, use another one too, like Last Week Tonight.
Yeah.
With HBO and everything like that. The full segments end up usually on YouTube the next day. They tried to like hold it by a week or two at one point in time, and then basically everybody rebelled.
Yeah, I think they're up by Tuesday after a Sunday show. And the only thing they cut out of them, they always do the main story only. They cut out the his weekly roundup piece of it.
Right. Yeah. But let's be honest, the main story is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
That's what you tune in for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and I know Oliver pays his writers and things like that, but what do they get from residuals and things for, that lives on YouTube forever for the most part, unless they want to take it down, but why would you?
Well,
and
so the other reason I think that it's important they're not having a work stoppage, and we talked a little bit about this in the pre-show. This was the year that Hollywood was looking to as the recovery year for the studios, right?
Yes.
Everybody but the only one that nailed it last year was Warner Brothers. We covered that on the show last year. Warner Brothers knocked it out of the park last year. They literally had a record-breaking historic run of films that just crushed the entire year. But everybody else was still kind of like, right? This is the first year where, like, it's looking up for the studios. And if you look at the box offices, and I'll bring it up, you know, I don't trust anything coming out of China, so put that aside. Super Mario Galaxy is a week and a half in. They've made $437 million. Project Hail Mary made $433 million. So both Amazon, MGM, and Sony, who worked together on that film, are doing backflips over that kind of a box office for a film like Project Hail Mary. Hoppers is kind of pushing along. Wuthering Heights did far better than it was supposed to, I think, at $239 million. Scream 7. Look, they make Scream movies for what they find in couch cushions. Right?
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if that.
Well, that one had a lot of controversy around it too. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it probably cost them $60 million, and they made $204 on it, so solidly profitable. And we're not into the heavy stuff yet, right?
No, we're not into the big ones yet.
Okay, Spider-Man: Brand New Day. There is it shattered trailer watch records and stuff like that. The last Spider-Man movie made just shy of $2 billion. There is a non-zero sum chance that this one's gonna make $2 billion, right?
Yeah.
At the box office, especially with the way that they're marketing it and doing everything. So this is the year again where, and we look at AMC stock, they're having a month-long high. It's at least it's going up, right? Going back up.
Let's buy.
I'm tempted. I actually think their stock is undervalued, but like Regal, is that Regal Cinema? Hang on, I want to double check. It was acquired by Citigroup. They actually are no longer. They are no longer publicly traded.
Yeah.
The theaters need this. Hollywood needs this. They all need this. They need there to not be a work stoppage and have problems this year. I guess my last question to you would be, do you think this does, again, the DGA came out and said, it's a good deal, we like it, right? So we're presuming DGA is going to get there. Does this motivate SAG-AFTRA to get something done? And does it show that the AMPTP, with their new leadership, has a better faculty for getting something done with the guilds? Do you think that SAG will get something done better? And do you think that this is going to we're not going to get a work stoppage this year?
Let's be honest. The head of SAG-AFTRA is Rudy himself, Samwise Gamgee. So if anybody can walk into Mordor and get back out with a good deal, I trust Sean Astin. Like, legitimately. Like, the dude knows Hollywood. He knows everything that's going on behind the scenes. Yeah. He's got a fantastic track record of working with, all of the actors groups, representing them well, things like that. I think they're going to come to the table with a very good deal. I think it's going to swing back in actors. What we're seeing is the pendulum going back the other way a little bit, where creators and actors and the people who are actually doing the work are getting a little bit more of the recognition, a little bit more of the pie. Where it has been very studio heavy and things like that in the past, and it hasn't really worked out. So now they've got to get up off the coin a little bit.
Well, especially when the entire
maybe put some good stuff out there.
When the entire market system changed from, it was under one kind of structure from basically the 1960s until about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? When streaming finally broke past broadcast. Right? That was when everything changed. Right? Because now your financial model for the studios is very, very different than it was. And that's a whole other topic that we could talk about another time. Somebody in the chat said, give him a frying pan, problem solved. He'll make second breakfast for the AMPTP, and they'll just agree to whatever he says. Here's to hoping. I hope that SAG-AFTRA and DGA get a good deal. Again, the WGA seems to be pretty encouraged, right?
I think so. I think they realize they got to get it. They've got to ride the momentum while they've got it. And there's a whole nother topic about needing new IPs and things like that and stop going to the well and things like that kind of thing. But I think they know they've got to get this momentum going. If they get it back where we're getting consistently good years in movies
and television,
and television and things like that, then they've got the negotiating power to maybe swing it a little bit more back into their, they've got the pockets that they can spend a little bit more and then wait some of these deals out and stuff like that with it. But until then, they got to take what they can get.
Yeah. So, all right, obviously we covered this a couple years ago, and now it's back in the news. Again, it went very quiet because the WGA just very quietly was like, it's done. Everybody's happy. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Okay. Someone was going to bring up, and I forgot what. All right. Last shot before we get into our final topic for the day. So if you guys have anything you want to talk about in the chat, go ahead and throw it in the chat. We'll try and get to that at the end of the show. Reboot Flash Gordon, Bear Birdman with Morning Stars. Hey, look, you're getting He-Man this summer, right? Right. And I keep getting tossed He-Man as a topic, and I so far have not been able to come up with a full segment about He-Man. I think just the short version of it is, I think it's going to be the D&D movie all over again, right?
So it's going to be good, but nobody's going to go watch it because they don't understand it.
Because it's marketed for crap.
Right.
The thing that, and actually, for those that are new to the channel, since we rebranded over to Air Code Show, when Mallo and I did this, Mallo worked in marketing for a very, very large mega corporation forever. He and I talked about it at the time when the D&D movie was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this and doing my show at the time while Mallo was still in marketing. I was like, who the hell are they marketing this to? Right? Like, I can't figure out what this D&D movie is supposed to be. Right?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm worried that they don't know how to market this. And I saw the movie and I was like, it's great. Who the fuck are you marketing this to? And I feel the same way about He-Man, where I'm like, I watched the trailers and I'm like, I see potential here, right? It's Travis Knight. I like the director, right? The writers are solid. The casting looks good. He kind of looks like He-Man, right? We got Idris Elba back, like, Yeah,
we got Jared Leto.
Yeah, some in the chat brought up.
That's a bummer.
Look, him doing a voice of Skeletor, I don't really, you're not going to see his face.
All right.
I
could have just went and got Matt Mercer then if it was just going to be a voice.
That's true, but
I guess, cheaper than Jared Leto and probably better.
I mean, because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. Do you get the same feeling for He-Man that I got, that I'm saying that this feels like the D&D movie to me?
You know what somebody did in the marketing department? They went and pitched, okay, if we get He-Man, we can go get She-Ra. We can start making this into the Masters of the Universe. We can start pumping out these every couple years.
Yeah, but but the way that you market it, again, the D&D movie was great. I thought it was really well done. It made nothing. Because again, I felt like they didn't know who they were marketing to or what the movie they were marketing was supposed to be about. Right? Yeah. And I feel the same way about He-Man, where I'm like, this looks like it have potential, but I don't think they know, because nostalgia bait alone is not going to get you across the finish line, because this movie wasn't cheap.
Not with the way that they're doing some of this stuff, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that budget. I'm looking at those special effects. I'm like, man, and I'm seeing roughly 170 to 200 million for a budget.
Right.
So it's gotta hit 5.
Yeah. It's what I think is they're trying to do is a little bit of the campiness of Mortal Kombat.
Which is fine.
They've just got to do... In fact, it even has some of the same color schemes and things like that as Mortal Kombat. Like, that's the thing. It's It's almost like Evil Dead, right? Like He-Man starts out like in the latest trailer, like He-Man starts out in a office complex and then is like taken via starship to this other place and things like that. Like it's so weird and campy with it and stuff like that. And I think that is where they're trying to go with some of this stuff, but then they are trying to also make it like realistic in a way kind of thing, and it's just, I don't know, it's all over the place at the moment. It's really all over the place, but it's they're trying to in Hollywood bring back the 80s. Like we're in the 70s right now because of the state of the world. And I think what they're trying to do is bring back that like mid 70s to like early 80s camp of everything.
Sure.
I think you're going to get a lot more horror movies in the same sort of way. You're getting a lot of A24 shit and stuff like that, which is to me very campy.
But but the fact of the matter is that A24, again, they make movies. They're like, hey, look, I found a rock. Here's what we're going to pay for this movie with. And it made $70 million, so we're fine. Right?
Yeah.
We made it for fucking $20. It made $70 million. We don't give a shit. Because we're A24. Screw you guys. They're so fucking profitable. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing that's coming along with this. You're starting to bring back a lot of these, like I said, the early 80s. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a fucking Thundercats movie sometime in the near future.
I mean, they're rebooting Miami Vice again.
Right.
With Michael B. Jordan. And Austin Butler, I think.
Which, I'll watch.
Michael B. Jordan. I'll watch it.
I'll watch it.
I'll watch it. Right. I want to see Michael B. Jordan as Tubbs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down.
Oh shit! A live-action Thundercats movie is in development by Warner Brothers.
Well, and who knows what's going to happen with Warner Brothers.
According to the IMDb.
If the Paramount deal goes through, and that's a big if still at this point, God knows what's going to happen to Warner Brothers.
According to IMDb, Adam Wingard's Godzilla, the guy that did it.
Yeah, somebody brought up the Metal Gear Solid. We actually covered that during the cold open of the show. Is that, yes, the Final Destination guys are doing Metal Gear Solid. I will await to see what they come up with for Metal Gear Solid. It's great.
Yep.
All right. With that down, let's move on to our last planned topic tonight. Again, if you'd like to get in a question into chat, go ahead and throw that in right now. And we'll try and get to those at the end of the show. Okay. A topic that is near and dear to me and Mallo's heart. Okay. There's a take that's been going around gaming and geek space lately, and especially on some of the bigger YouTube channels, that I wanted to talk about tonight. And the take is this: Magic the Gathering is turning into Fortnite. And the argument goes like this: Wizards of the Coast keeps cramming outside IP into Magic the Gathering Universe Beyond product line. Spider-Man, Walking Dead, Fortnite, TMNT, Marvel, Star Trek, The Hobbit. And this year alone, there are 7 standard sets releasing, the most ever, with 4 of them being Universes Beyond. Which means that more than half of the Magic releases this year will feature characters and worlds that have nothing to do with Magic. So the argument is that Magic has become what Fortnite became, a game that abandoned its own identity to chase every IP on the market and turned itself into a glorified licensing vehicle. This take is absolutely wrong. Okay? Here's the fundamental problem with comparing Magic to Fortnite. Fortnite throws IP at the wall with zero regard for fit, coherence, craft. Master Chief standing next to Naruto, standing next to The Rock, standing next to a banana. There's no editorial vision. There's no attempt to make the crossover feel like it belongs. It's a licensing deal dressed up as a game update, and everybody knows it. Magic's crossovers don't really work that way, and the evidence is in the products they're releasing. The Lord of the Rings set, one of the first majors, was extraordinary. Tolkien's world and Magic's world share a lot of the same DNA, right? Multiverse structure, planes, legendary creatures, artifacts of immense power that made them feel not just natural, but almost inevitable for Magic. The cards were mechanically creative. The One Ring as a unique card was a game was a genuine design achievement. The set brought in new players and satisfied longtime fans simultaneously. That's not what Fortnite does. The Final Fantasy set last year was another genuine success. Final Fantasy and Magic have been parallel obsessions for the same audience for 30 years. The mechanical translation of Final Fantasy's jobs, summons, and materia system into Magic card design, especially the summons in my opinion, showed real craft and real love for both properties. The Final Fantasy VI Commander deck was widely praised as one of the best pre-constructed decks ever released. This is not slapping a skin on an existing card. This is thoughtful, creative work. Here's the data point that matters most. Magic's own designers have noted that fan skepticism about Universes Beyond has been shrinking over time. Not because players give up complaining, but because the products keep being good enough to win people over. When the execution is there, the community will work with it. The Fortnite comparison assumes all crossovers are equal. They are not. There's also a more fundamental point here. Magic the Gathering is 30 years old, has its own multiverse, planes, its own characters and lore. The foundation is not going anywhere. The core Magic sets, Ravnica, Innistrad, Bloomborough, and the one that's releasing next week that everybody's super hyped about, Strixhaven, they're still releasing. They're still the backbone of the game. Universes Beyond exists alongside the core game, not instead of it. When you sit down to play Magic, you are still playing Magic. The rules haven't changed. The gameplay hasn't changed. A Spider-Man card is still a creature with a mana cost and a power and a toughness and an ability. It plays like Magic because it is Magic. Fortnite didn't add Halo to a pre-existing game with 30 years of identity and say, here's an optional crossover you can engage with or not. Fortnite is the crossover. There's a meaningful difference between a game that does crossovers and a game that is nothing but crossovers. Magic is still the former, not the latter. Now, I said mostly, and I want to be honest about where the Fortnite comparison does start to have some merit. Marvel and TMNT crossovers are a bit weird. I'll say it. Spider-Man last year was one of the most controversial UB sets so far, and I think the criticism of the set was fair. Okay? It just didn't quite work. Okay? It didn't quite fit, and the mechanics of it just weren't great. Part of this is the style. The comic book stuff doesn't really jive as well. Right? The other part is Marvel characters carry so much cultural weight from films and comics that seeing them recontextualized into Magic cards feels more jarring because it's such a big IP. And this year, there's the full Marvel superhero set dropping in June. Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, the whole roster. And it's positioned as Magic's summer blockbuster, this year's version of Final Fantasy. And I don't know how it's going to land. The scale of it feels more like a licensing deal than creative collaboration. It feels closer to what people are actually criticizing. So I'll make that concession. Marvel stuff, maybe some of the TMT stuff, is where the Fortnite comparison has its best argument. Not because the cards are bad, they might be great, but because the fit isn't as clean. Okay? One awkward crossover, though, does not make Magic into Fortnite. Okay? Mallo, you obviously and I play a lot of Magic. You've watched this UB thing. You've got a whole channel about Magic stuff.
I do.
Right?
Where I talk a lot about this exact thing.
Right. Which is why I wanted to throw this in there. Okay? Where do you land on the overall topic? First off, is the Fortnite comparison fair, or is it just lazy fucking criticism from people who just don't like change? And is Marvel / TMT kind of the line for you, or are you fine with all of it?
I set out to make all of my commanders this year be some type of crazy secret layer or Universes Beyond of my 32.
Okay.
Just because, and you know the folks that we have as well too, because the purists will sit there and get pissed about it, and I love that, and I want to troll them at the table. It is a 30-year-old card game. There are only so many times we can go back to the well of some of these planes in the universe and things like that, and there's only so many times we can do new things. The fact that they're still creating ways to do stuff in this game, to me, is impressive.
They're the dominant TCG on the planet.
Still.
By far.
I mean, Pokemon has got its, scalpers, and that's about it.
It's big.
It's big, but it's mostly there for YouTube videos of them opening cards and then getting them graded and selling them at
And kids.
flea markets. That's about it. Really, when it kind of comes down to it, I actually am a big Marvel fan. I'm a big TMNT fan. In fact, I actually picked up the other day. There was a hardcover of the last Ronin omnibus at my local bookstore, and I went and immediately picked it up because I didn't have it.
That's right there.
Yep. Yeah. It was on sale too, which makes it even better. And I happen to have the card with the last Ronin cover in Magic the Gathering sitting right over there at the Magic Station. I don't think it's too much of a step too far. You can play without them. That's the thing. I have said that in numerous videos and on numerous podcasts. You don't have to engage.
I'm going to go the other way. With some of the power creep, especially some of the previews we've gotten for this full Marvel set, there are people who would argue that to maintain any level of competitiveness, you have to engage with UB. What do you say to that?
Those people are not playing well enough and aren't building good enough decks and aren't playing them very well. I can still beat you with a Goblin deck without touching Marvel. You might not like that it's Krinko. Tough shit. I can still whoop your ass with it. Just because you have a deck that is Kefka, you call it, because it's the Final Fantasy one, it's really Pulveros, and you can whoop ass with, and that's a basic card from the original set, and you can do those kinds of things with it.
Reskin, yep.
It's a reskin, which I absolutely think is fantastic because it's great. Bring new art to it. Mechanically, it's not different. There are so many. The problem with, and we're talking mostly about Commander. I'm not a standard player anymore. I do not want to keep up with the meta of standard anymore. I don't want to be sweating at the table like I used to when I was doing the tour and things like that. I've been playing Magic for almost as long as it's been around. Like that, we even started way the fuck back there. And so I've seen the game evolve to really just to speed up. And the thing about playing specifically Commander, which is the dominant format in all of Magic the Gathering right now, I'll use a land ramp deck, which several of us play. There are no less than 7 cards out there from different sets that do the same thing as Crucible of Worlds, which, if you don't know, is a card that lets you play lands from your graveyard. The whole point is you do a cycle of lands and things like that. It triggers stuff and it makes big creatures or gives you life or whatever kind of thing, right? There are 7 cards that all do the same thing and maybe have one tweak to add on to it or something like that. And those are 7 cards, by the way, that are not from Universes Beyond. Those are printed in what they consider in-universe sets.
Yeah.
And mind you, in-universe includes going to space now.
Because they put Edge of Eternities. I mean, Neon Dynasty Kamigawa was the Cyberpunk. They've done Streets of New Capenna, which was in the universe. Yep. They've expanded out, which again I think they had to do. And I think that's actually a good point to spin on right there. Starting with Neon Dynasty Kamigawa, with Streets of New Capenna, right, where they went kind of 1940s gangster with it, right, which I thought was a fun thing.
It's not in 1920s in Art Deco style. That's the thing.
Yeah. Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which was again, that's a Universes Within set, but it's a Western, right?
They do a lot of great themes.
Yeah, they really do. And so I think that does help with the universe. I think that helps with the Universes Beyond stuff. Because within the Universes Within, they're like, we've gone futuristic. We did Edge of Eternities. We went to space. We did a Western, right?
Yeah.
We did a gangster movie. We did all of this within Universes Within. The other argument that I've seen a lot, and I would be curious about your thoughts on it, is this. When Universes Beyond started, and for the first bit of it, right? So Lord of the Rings, Warhammer 40K, Assassin's Creed, etc., UB sets were Commander only, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which kind of kept the standard players there, but there was a lot of kind of a little bit of yiping from the standard players about, hey, they're getting rid of some power cards that we could use in standard, but we can't use them. Final Fantasy was the first set that they went, look, you be a standard legal from here on out, right? Not commander only, which was a change they made last year. Do you agree with the decision to make you be standard legal as opposed to leaving it as a commander only, which, while it's the dominant, is also the casual format for Magic the Gathering, not the Pro Tour?
Yeah.
Right?
Casual and in quotes only, because there's so many commander tournaments now that are out there, even at the places like MagicCon and ECCC and things like that. So it is very much a, like, you know, I don't have a problem with UB formats becoming standard, because that means they are not going and doing some of the things that are just completely out there. For instance, the Doctor Who set. That is a completely out there fucking thing that never made it to standard, thankfully, because that would have taken... Standard games take about 5 minutes these days because of how fast you can go through a game. That would have taken, 25 minutes per round with Doctor Who, with as slow as those decks can go and stuff like that. The problem that I have with it is that you have signed all these licensing deals. There are 7 sets coming out this year. And even for a content creator like myself, to try to keep up with the hype train that is Magic the Gathering right now, it is insane. I couldn't put out, you can't put out deck builds fast enough than some of these people who are basically on like super Adderall. They like drop a card on Scryfall, and now the next day there's a deck build about it, and oh my god, it's amazing and everything like that. And that's just the bedroom guys. And that's not even like Leonard Williams and those guys that are like super Magic players and things like that. Which shout out to Big Cat for just having their baby and all like that recently too. But like, the problem that I have is the quick release cycle of all these things. It would be fine if we had 4 sets a year, 1 per quarter, to be able to keep up. And then if you had one of them that was X-Men, okay, there's a significant enough build to X-Men and things like that you can get excited for it. As it sits right now, I bought very little of TMNT, even though I like TMNT. I bought the singles that I needed directly, and I bought a bundle here because I thought it was cool and kitschy.
Let's.
And that's it.
You know what? I may break this into 2 segments.
Okay.
So I think stick on the UB for just a second, right? Because somebody also in chat is bringing up like pull rates and stuff like that. That's why I might break this into another segment, right? My only gripe about UB this year is that UB is outnumbering in universe, right?
Yep.
I'm with you on the 1.25 is probably about right, but I also understand from a business perspective why they're like cycling as fast as they are, right? My bigger thing is you want to stop the griping about UB. And again, to reiterate from the beginning of the fucking video, if you're watching this on YouTube later, I don't think it's become Fortnite because, again, for the most part, they've done a really good job of integrating it into the greater Magic ecosystem. My issue is you want to stop them griping. Having more UB than in-universe sets in a given year is a bad plan. It's a bad plan. Okay? You can't outnumber your in-universe stuff with universes beyond. Okay? So that's number 1. There was... God dang, we could go on this for a while.
How much time you got? It's only 9:15 here.
We can go on this one for a while. So I think that's one of the big gripes about UB this year, right? And I will agree with that criticism.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody in the chat is also bringing up that Spider-Man was kind of half-baked. And again, I agree.
Yeah.
Not just from a design standpoint, but just the set was kind of half-baked.
Well, and that's my only issue with some of the UB stuff, and that's the release rate that we're putting some of these out in is to do one Spider-Man release was half baked. But I judge most of these releases by their mechanics, not by the art on the card. I love the art on the card. I spend a lot of time talking with Magic the Gathering artists. Without naming names, some of them are now my clients and things like that, right? Like those are things I am engrossed in that world kind of thing. I love the art on the cards. I love the alternate arts, things like that. Whether I'm going to actually buy the card or not does it help me in my game? Period. And that squarely fits on Gavin and team to make good cards. And Spider-Man just wasn't. Web slinging was not a great alternative to free running. It was okay, but it wasn't great. Now, there were some standout cards like Cosmic Spider-Man and stuff like that you brought up earlier. That's actually a decent card. Spider-Punk, there's a few in there.
Yeah.
There's a few hits in every set.
Yeah.
But
Spider-Man just didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good. And then you get Avatar that actually came up with a really good mechanic in firebending, waterbending, earthbending, all that kind of stuff. And you're like, well, shit, now I didn't want to buy into this set, but now I'm kind of feeling the set because it feels new. It feels good. That's where the Fortnite comparison to me goes the hell out the back, because in every one of these releases, they're putting new mechanics in, which as a Magic content creator is also kind of tiring because you have to learn a new, you have to learn a new concept every time one of these things are coming out. But it feels new. It keeps some life into the game. Now firebending and all that kind of stuff is going to be around for a while, especially in spell slinging decks and stuff like that. That made that one feel good. We'll see TMNT actually used a lot of the sneak mechanics and things like that.
Very similar to the old stuff. All right.
Which to me was okay.
Yeah.
By the way.
TMNT to me right now feels about 3/4 baked. Now there's a reason for that I'm going to get into in the next segment. But what do you folks think? Leave some stuff in the comments down below. Did I convince you that Magic is not turning into Fortnite, I promise? Or do you still think it's just becoming Fortnite on a trading card game? Let us know. Okay. Here's where I'm going to go with this second segment. This is going to be a little more freeform on the Magic piece because I want to address a couple things that came up in the chat during the last segment on Magic the Gathering, and kind of some other stuff. One of the people said they wonder if with Final Fantasy they took more time because they understood that Final Fantasy fans didn't play Magic would have murdered them if it didn't look and feel good. I don't think that probably came into their design thingy. What I would say is this. The sheer amount of IP, and they didn't even use all of it. Like, there is nothing from, like, Final Fantasy Tactics in the Final Fantasy UB set, right? There's multiple Final Fantasy games that have nothing in UB right now. They went mainline pretty much only, okay? And they did not run out of stuff to use. Final Fantasy is such a varied, long-running, huge IP from a source material standpoint, right? That there was plenty for them to do. They had a lot to work with. Somebody else saying they didn't represent the main line equally. No, I imagine a lot of that had to do with popularity. 7 and 14 had way outside 7 obviously is going to have a way outsized contribution because of the position that 7 takes in the ecosystem, right? Yeah. No game has done what 7 did. They just haven't, right? It was so revolutionary at the time that it holds to this day. Spider-Man doesn't have the just sheer amount of stuff you can throw into it that Final Fantasy does. So I think that's really what happened with Final Fantasy. What I couldn't figure out is you're doing Spider-Man and then you're doing Marvel. Why do Spider-Man to me felt like what they should have done is what they did with Assassin's Creed, where it was that mini set, right?
Smaller set.
Do a mini
I don't
set.
need 18. I don't need Spider-Man India.
Nope. Well, and
It
again,
just wasn't a good card.
no,
Not the IP fine. Card, no.
yeah. I mean, you could have taken that down. The other thing that got brought up was pull rates, right? They felt better in Final Fantasy, yeah, because there was a lot of like special guest cards. They did a lot with that. The pull rate issue started with play boosters, right?
Yep.
Now, I come at this from two perspectives, and maybe it was you, Mallo, it might have been Phil. Maybe we were all talking about it together. As a former game store owner, when they announced play boosters, I jumped for joy.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God. Trying to guess months in advance how many set boosters versus draft booster boxes I'm going to need at release was a nightmare. It was an absolute crapshoot. Collector boosters are just collector boosters. That's a separate thing. Set versus draft, and what am I doing? I think we're gonna
still don't know the difference.
What?
I go into some of these places that actually have older sets to them.
Yeah.
And they have the set boosters and the draft boosters, or they have one or the other because that's all they were able to get still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what the fucking pull rate is. Give me a pack of cards. I want to open a pack of cards. I want to hopefully get something good.
Set boosters had a better pull rate. And that's the thing. So as a store owner, I love play boosters, right?
Yeah.
As a consumer, I don't, right? And I can't turn my camera right now, but Mallo knows this. Just in this room, I've got, I'm going to guess, 4,000 bulk cards. Just in this room. In my garage, I have another 20,000. Play boosters.
We have sorted those collectively. You and I have sorted those at least 3 times.
Play boosters have a much lower pull rate than set. They're kind of like having the difference between what draft and set used to be, right? They kind of split the difference.
And then they lowered them again going into Strixhaven.
And then they lowered again. I don't like play boosters as a player because 70%, 80% of the cards I pull, I'm never going to touch again. Right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! When I owned a store, you would watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Players come in, buy a box of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, open every pack, keep 5 cards, and throw the entire rest of the box in the trash.
Yeah.
Literally. In the recycling bin. They were like, yep, this is all worthless now.
Yeah.
Okay? That's almost how it feels with play boosters now.
It's, you know what?
Unless I'm specifically playing Popper or something like that, I don't care.
Well, it's, I'm looking up something, just to double check it and stuff like that. But, yeah. So, the current play booster pull rates and things like that are actually starting to mimic that of Pokemon because of how much they know that scalpers will spend to get the chase cards and things like that. And I watch sometimes, I watch their videos normally, but then a particular YouTuber will get on with his wife late at night, and they'll just pull Pokemon cards looking for hits. And they will resell a lot of their Pokemon cards at like, I won't put them on blast, but if you follow their IG, you know roughly where they live and stuff like that. And they will go to these card shows and set up at booths with them and sell parts of their collection and things like that. Like they're legitimately trying to, sell and collect and trade and do all the kind of things that they genuinely love Pokemon, right? Just like I don't collect sets of MTG, but I genuinely love MTG and I've got my binders of those things that I just don't want to sell or that I've collected and I like for every kind of thing, right? But the pull rates, they will blast through a box of cards in like 20 minutes. And if it's, and because they're only looking for those like 1 or 2 cards that are the chase cards in the set, and they will buy, I mean, cases
Yep.
of boxes and things like that. And mind you,
Well, that's how standard players
this person also has multiple Lamborghinis, so it's fine. They can fucking afford it.
Every
but still.
standard player I ever met, that was their biggest gripe, is when a standard player in the old days, to get to the meta, they'd have to buy 4 boxes of cards. Right?
Unless you just buy the singles.
Yeah, unless you just buy singles, which may or may not be more expensive. Tough to call.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
The biggest gripe with play boosters get is the variants. You may buy a box of play boosters and hit.
Yep.
And then buy another play booster box and get literally basically 2 per pack. So what is that? How many come in a play booster box?
It depends now. I think the
36.
Yeah.
36 packs. So you got you know, again, you can get as low as like 36 or 40 cards out of that whole box.
Yeah. And that's assuming that they aren't, because of the way pull rates and things like that go, that you don't get doubles of said legendary or mythics. And a lot of those doubles are lands, which, don't get me wrong, land base is still the most important thing that you can do for a commander deck. However, I don't need 7 copies of Steam Vents, which I still have 5 of them from the last boxes of cards that I pulled for Lorwyn Eclipsed, because that was just my plan. I'm going to go stupid in that series kind of thing. You know, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that, you know, and chat was saying MTG was doing loot boxes before it was cool. I mean, that's collectible card games. That's any type of collectible cards, period. That's Topps, that's baseball, that's football from back in the day. It's all gambling.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Right? Yeah.
To a degree.
I would say the early days of MTG weren't like that, but I definitely
the sets were a lot smaller back then, though. That's the thing too.
That's true.
You could get a full set in a box. You could get almost a full set in a box of booster packs, because they didn't have collectors versus non-collectors and everything like that back in the day.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I definitely understand people's frustration. I think Strixhaven is going to be an interesting experiment to see what the actual polls are, right? Yeah. If they go, because with play booster pull rates, right? If they go toward the high end of what they've stated the pull rates could be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get, you know, instead of 1.5, basically, where they're like, look, we're gonna stack these, and you're gonna get 2 rares per pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of 1, and then the random slot where there might be a rare mythic, but there might be also just be a foil common.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if they bump it a little bit from the 1.4 to 1.5 per pack to like a 2, I think a lot of people are going to be a lot happier, right? I think if it falls on the lower end of that, where it's at like 1.1 or 1.2 per pack, I think people are going to be really irritated with this set.
Here's the thing: is I do the math often on my channel, and often when I'm just, you know, I live stream on the weekends and things like that, just playing games with people, and I talk a lot about Magic at the beginning of the show and stuff like that with it. If I add up the amount of money that I've spent even recently, okay, and this was just so I could open some packs and just a little bit of the hit kind of thing. But I found some Dungeons and Dragons. They are way above MSRP. Mm-hmm. Not outside of the realm of, you know, you can buy a couple of packs and you're okay.
But those are also no longer stocking sets.
They're no longer stocking sets and things like that. But if I added up the amount of money that I spent for that, for a little bit more, and so we're talking like saving up for a week or so of stuff.
Yeah.
I could have just bought Ancient Copper Dragon from fucking Card Kingdom.
That's always...
And it's $40 card.
That's always the difficulty. Is the where do you go with just single versus packs, right?
But I mean, that's the kind of thing when you do the mathematics of it. At the end of the day, it's always I could hit it on this pack, or I can't justify spending this much money on a card. And I'm using that as an extreme case because that and like the One Ring and, some of those like real big cards that a lot of people like to swing. You don't need them in your deck, by the way. You can make a pretty good deck at about $50 to $75, but still, I'm just saying, if you really wanted to find those cards just to have them in your collection, to put them in your dragon deck, etc., right?
Yeah.
It is still more affordable to pay the $140 for that card than to go try and chase it in packs. Yeah. Now that's at Card Kingdom. We know Card Kingdom is probably one of the more expensive ones. You can probably find it at a local game store or on TCG Player for cheaper, but still, like, where do you go from when it kind of does like that? That's why I didn't do a whole lot with TMNT. I just went and got Krang and I got Super Shredder, and that's what I wanted. And then I bought a couple of bundles because we, like, you and I especially, liked having the little bundle box. They're cool. And the bundle box for TMNT was the turtle truck or the turtle van.
Yeah, no, and
that was cool to me, and that was worth the money to kind of do it. But like the rest of it, I was just like, no, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy these cards. They're the cost. Those cards, when I bought them, by the way, were the cost of one collector booster pack because of how damn expensive it is. It was actually less than the cost of a collector booster pack, and I was guaranteed to get the card that I wanted.
Yeah, well, and that's you bring up the point, right? Which is where do you draw those lines, right? Yeah. And actually, I'm in Architect right now because I'm looking at deck value, and the majority of my decks, if I was to go out and just buy them as singles, they're averaging a little over $200.
Yeah, there's a lot of my decks that stay in the 200 range.
My most expensive one that I could see so far as I'm kind of looking, is my Jetmir deck, which is almost $360 for the cards that are in that deck.
I need to go in and update this deck, but I have two decks that are $1,000 a piece that I've collected over the years and things like that. Now, one of them has gone down in price because they reprinted Eddie Markov, and so his value went way down. But at the time that I made the deck, Eddie was up there and stuff like that with it. And a lot of that has to do with it's all the older dragons and things like that. My dragon deck is over almost $1,100 in value and stuff like that. And that's not using all of the like fancy secret layers and all the other shit that you can get and stuff like that. That was just base value of the dragons you can get for some of these. And there's some shit that I can change in and out, yada, yada, yada kind of thing.
Somebody in the chat says they felt like Final Fantasy felt more worthwhile to pull than to buy singles, but they know their experience was skewed. But here's the thing. I would actually argue that was the last set, and actually there's one of our regular game stores that we go to has got a box of play boosters of Final Fantasy in their case that I keep thinking about buying. Because I actually agree with that, because the Final Fantasy set was so well put together, and there's so many utility cards for that I'm like, no. Like, I think it's legit. Like, yeah, it's worth buying the play boosters on that. But that's the exception and not the rule. Strixhaven may change my mind on this. I may buy a play booster box for Strixhaven because everything I'm seeing, it looks like they're actually uncommons, stuff that we would normally consider chaff, that are going to be worth playing.
There's a good bit of stuff. As I've got the Scryfall page pulled up with all the spoiled stuff that's out so far.
Yeah.
That's been like officially released and things like that with it. There's a lot of stuff in there, but then there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to deal with prepared spells. I don't that is the there are some of those things that I'm just kind of like, okay. I will get Strixhaven is one of those ones where I will get a maybe, and this is only if I can find it IRL. I'm not going to wait out Card Kingdom or anybody else. If I can find a box of collectors IRL, I will at roughly MSRP.
See, then I'll do it. And you know this. I was on the track of I'm just buying collector booster boxes.
Yeah.
Until very recently, until everything, and it was Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy got the fucking scalping runs just.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, that's what I'm saying.
And I've been able to find MSRP collector booster boxes basically since.
No.
Whereas I used to be able to guaranteed I could walk into before Final Fantasy, I could walk into the store that we spend most of our time buying our new product at pre-release and get a collector booster box before then.
Right. Well, that's partially because WotC's hoed them on the amount of collector booster boxes they send them, and that's a different issue that we won't talk about in this segment. But there's only one other store, 2 stores tops, that I will go to that I know will sell it at close to MSRP. And when I say close, I'm talking like $10, $20 difference. Like, I have watched the price. No, that's right. I watched the price, so I jumped on Lorwyn at Card Kingdom when it was first announced. I had a reminder set. The minute it hit my email, I jumped in there. I bought my collector booster box because I know, and I have made 7 decks off that release. It's just my jam. I knew it was going to be my jam, and I knew going into it. I did card previews, the whole 9 yards. I thought it was going to be great. I watched then, after I secured my collector booster box, that price go up by almost $100 to $150 as it got closer to release. And that's just buying it off the website, pre-ordering ahead of time kind of thing. And they raised the price on it as it was getting more and more steam. The same thing happened with Strixhaven. It started at a certain $320 price.
No, and I think it was what was it? Hang on, I'm actually going to look.
The collector booster box currently now, it was around $320 when I first saw it.
So the original MSRP was $309.99.
You want to guess how much it is right now?
I'm actually just looking. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It is currently going for, it's not in stock, mind you, but a collector booster box, which is only 12 packs, mind you, is going for $479.99.
Yep. I'm looking at
That's an LGS selling a box of boosters way above market price. That's insane to me.
Is that I'm trying to see if anybody's got it even close. GameStop's got it at $3.99.
Amazon is one of those ones that tends to still be somewhat normal.
Which actually makes me mad. Because I really don't.
You're still taking a gamble on who's selling it through Amazon too. That's the thing. Because there's a lot of them that I see that Amazon will cancel the order and then it'll go back up, for $400 instead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
$450, $479. I'm looking at your shared screen and stuff like that with it. Yeah. So there's only a handful of LGSs that I know of that still do it for mostly MSRP. If I am lucky enough to get it when they open up on pre-release day on Friday, then I will go there and I'll pick it up. If I don't, I wash my hands of it and I'm looking at the single prices. Because those mystical that's the only thing I really want is the mystical archive stuff, which is what I got in the first Strixhaven and things. But I want very specific ones because these are cards that I've never bought for my decks and things. I don't have Teferi's protections and things like that. But if I can get the Japanese ones and stuff like that, I'd rather have that. It'd be fantastic. But if I can't, oh well. But because I refuse to pay the play booster gambling machine that it is. I will buy some packs and things like that. I like opening cards.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
I'm not mad enough to admit that I don't like opening some packs.
And here's the thing: if they've got them, we go to the game store. So our weekly Magic group, just for anybody who's watching the show, our weekly Magic group is every Friday night, and I'd say about 50% of the time we're at somebody's house. The other half of the time we're at one of 2 stores, right? when I go to the store, I always support game stores. Again, as a former game store owner, I'm always there. But, and you know this, my first go is I'm going to buy a collector booster pack, right? Yeah. And a couple of beers for my nightly. That's what I'm doing to support the store. But will I still buy play booster packs if they don't have any good collectors? And God, they've been short on collectors lately too. Yep. Card Kingdom just straight up does. Do they have it? Nope. Card Kingdom does not have collector booster boxes, and they're selling it for $4.79.
Correct. They don't have any pack. They actually sold out everything. If I think, yeah, they even don't have play booster boxes and stuff like that.
How do they not have play booster boxes?
Because what they have a bunch that are there for draft nights and for in-store sales that are marked for that, and they probably get the largest amount of
anybody.
Them and probably Star City probably get the largest amount of cards outside of maybe Amazon. Mm-hmm. But I doubt it. I think they still Card Kingdom still gets more and stuff like that.
Weirdly enough, GameStop has been one of my stops that I've been making. That's where I found the Chocobo bundles. They were sold out everywhere.
Yep.
And they had the Chocobo bundles for $1.99.
Yeah, but this is why I tell so many people, it's like, save your money, buy the singles that you want, make a list in Arcadeck, do the thing that you want to do, because a lot of people complain about how much it costs to play Magic, and I get that. Like, I have my big decks, but I also play a lot of like $100 decks.
You can literally go into Arcadeck. You know? By the way, if you're looking at it, you can go into Arcadeck, and this is one of my decks. So let's say I built this and I hadn't already built it. You can build it, go here, and pick a place and buy the cards.
Correct. And it will generate the list for you, put it in the correct place and everything like that, and then all you got to do is hit checkout. You know, and it'll tell you which ones, if it doesn't have it, you know, which one to do and stuff like that. The Mox storefront has a single collector booster for $40. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Mox collectors for $4.60 for the box. No, we're on Card Kingdom's website right now, and you can't do $4.79.
That's weird.
Mox collectors. I don't know what Mox collectors is though. The site.
The Mox boarding house one might have it. Let's look. Let's see. They got bundles, collector booster packs.
Seal product.
Yeah, you can order packs, but not decks. Or not boxes that I can see.
The collector boosters are $4.60, but it's pre-order only, and it may not arrive in time. Yeah.
Yeah. And see, to me, $4.60 is just too much for a box of cards. I'd rather go buy singles.
Yeah. For $460, I can build the whole goddamn deck and probably still have $100 left for beer.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how crazy you want to get, right? Like, you can.
Because there's probably, and again, like we were talking about, like the decks that I have that are $400, really what that is that's about 4 cards, 5 cards.
Yeah.
Right? That are expensive. And the rest of them are cheap. Like, they're very inexpensive.
Well, that's the thing. I'm bringing a deck tomorrow night that is estimated cost, mind you, this is Card Kingdom's estimated cost of $450. I did not pay $450 for all the cards because I had several of them and things like that. I think I'm looking through all of this. I think the most expensive card I have in there is a $30 card that is one of those ones that I can use in like a bunch of different decks. Yeah. And it's one that I am using in a bunch of different decks and things like that I had pulled 2 of.
Well, and I'm looking, I'm like, where is this price on this deck? One card in this deck is like 13% of the total cost.
Right.
If I look, I'm trying to see where the real price is. Yeah, I mean, it's basically, one card. The commander's kind of expensive. I got a couple of expensive land cards in there. You know, that's about it.
Yeah, that's it. BT in the chat saying the highest I paid for FF collection box was about $650 because I was dumb. You were also getting back into
A new
playing Magic
thing,
the Gathering,
yeah.
you know, after so many years off too. So I can understand it being one of your favorite IPs. You had a very good luck with the pull rates,
Yep.
you know, and in fairness, you're not making all of your money back, but you have sold a lot of cards
Yeah,
and
and
done a lot of
you pulled
trade-in and stuff
more
like that
at
with them.
current value than what you paid. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure. Again, I think there's improvements that can be made. I'm really frustrated with the just the lack of stocking on this because it allows the prices to go this high. So,
That is the problem. Yeah.
all right, folks. I think we're gonna call it there. We ran rolling up on 10 o'clock.
Nice.
Mallo, for the folks that are watching the stream after the fact, where could they find you on the internets?
You can find me everywhere at the Mallo Man. I post up everything that I'm doing when I go live, everything like that. There, you can also follow me at, and you'll see this in the posts and stuff like that. But we do a lot of D&D. Our latest one is called Lords of Sin. It is a high-level D&D campaign. It is very good. It is very mature. If you like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, things like that, you would like this kind of show. So it's very well produced. It's a very narrative D&D podcast with a lot of sound effects and all of the kind of fun things. And we take out a lot of the table talk. So a lot of the rules discussions and things like that, we cut all that stuff out. We just get to the good parts of the show. So give it a look at. You can find it. It's called Lords of Sin. You can find it everywhere you get podcasts. Go take a look at that today.
Yes, definitely take that. We will be back next week, as we are every week, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time here for the Error Code Show. If you missed any portions of the segments of the show, check those, get uploaded over the weekend, and then usually the live stream is up within about 20 minutes of the end of the show. So, yeah, let us know what you think, and we will see you next week. Bye.